Hello, everyone. Hope you're okay. This is week 9, and we are supposed to work on regression analysis. As you can see on the screen, and that I have got some explanation for you guys. So, before we do the actual activity for today, I just wanted to give you a bit of an idea that what is regression and why we use it, and then follow with some examples as well. I'm confident that most of you guys would have already attended the lesson, so you already know that what is regression analysis. But just in case that you wanted to have more explanation of this, and some of you were unable to attend the lesson, so I'm just going to explain that in here. If you look at the screen, it is mentioned here that the regression analysis is a simple statistical method used to understand how one thing affects another. It helps us in daily life to measure and predict relationships between variables. For example, if you look at this one in here, the where how price affects sales, and then how study time affects exam scores. For instance, if somebody is spending more time on studies, then whether it has an impact on the scores they have achieved or not. So they wanted to find the relationship between the two things. If the prices are high, then is it going to impact any kind of on sales? If the prices of the products are low, then probably there is going to be more sales. Similarly, another example is that how advertising spends affects customers' demand. So, in these kind of situations, we use regression because it allows us to find patterns, make predictions, and support decisions with data instead of the guesswork. So, in data analytics, regression is especially important because it helps analyzing turn raw data into meaningful insights, showing trends, forecasting future outcomes, and identifying which factors matter the most. But one thing you need to remember is, which is an important point here. First of all, the regression analysis is going to help us in predicting the patterns, in predicting what is going to happen on the basis of the provided data. But how we are going to do this? Obviously, we can have the pictorial information. For instance, we can have the graphs, we can create the tables. That is one of the separate things which we will learn how we create that. But this is all done by an equation. So remember, this is one of the very important points in here in when we talk about the regression analysis. So here I have explained that once we use regression analysis, the data will generate an equation. So remember, that is one of the important points in here, in which we will insert various values and predict the data and find the trends. So I have gathered two examples for you guys. For example, example one is, imagine you collect data from 20 students on how many hours they revised and their final exam marks. So it is about 20 students, how much time they have been spending, and then the final marks they have achieved. So regression analysis might show that for every extra hour of study, exam marks increase by actually about 3 points. So if a student studies for 10 hours, the model can predict their likely score. Similarly, in example 2, a company wants to know if increasing advertising sales will boost sales or not. They collect data from the past 6 months and run a regression. The results show that for every £100 spent on advertising, sales increased by £500. So this helps the company decide how much to invest in the future marketing. So remember, guys, once again, before we jump onto the actual data sheet, I just wanted to give you a bit of a context that regression analysis is more about finding the relationship between the two entities, and wanted to predict. If we want to predict what is going to happen in the future on the basis of the provided data, regression analysis is one of the best techniques which can actually help us to do that. Now, I hope that makes a clarification on the regression analysis. Now we move on to week 9 data, which is, if you click onto the sheet 1, which is on your week 9, you can download it from your Moodle. Here you go. You got two columns in here in which you just need to double check that it states year of experience, and then finally it's the salary. Right. Now, what you need to do is, because we have been using, we have been given different types, different the versions of Excel. So probably your screen might be slightly different to mine one. So the first thing what we need to do is we need to go back into the data. If you look at the top, you can click onto the data, and when you have this menu bar in here for data related items, and on that side there is a button on the right side on the top is data analysis. Some of you might not see that on the screen, and some of you might see this. So in any way, so let's start with if you do not see this. So what we need to do is, let me go back into your options, and then I go back into the add-ins. Remember, this option is for them who do not see this on the screen. So just imagine that when you come back and you load that on your screen, so when you click on your data, you do not see here data analysis option there. So once you do not see this option, what you need to do is you need to go back into your file. Then at the left bottom, you can see options there. You click on the options and a big window appears there. And on the left side, you can see that it's general, formulas, data, proofing, save, language, and so on and so on. And at the second last option is add-ins. When you click onto the add-ins, you can see a new options window appears there. You don't need to touch anything in there apart from at the bottom you have got manage Excel add-ins. So simply just click on go, and then a new window appears on the screen for you guys, in which the first two options, which is the analysis tool pack and then analysis tool pack VBA. So you have to check these two options. Once you have put the mark on it, please press OK. And now, in a while, in a couple of seconds, you probably can see the data analysis option there. So remember, some of you might see this option right when you open the Excel sheet, and some of you might not see that. So in any case, once you get to that stage where you have the data analysis options there, then you click onto the data analysis, and now here the game begins. So you click on data analysis. I'm just waiting. Here we go. A new window appears with the data analysis tools, and then here somewhere, if you scroll it down, you find regression. So click on regression and press OK. Once you press on OK, a new window appears in front of you. Remember, guys, we have two types of data sets, sorry, no, two types of columns. So one is the year of experience and one is the salary. So we have to, given these, we have to insert these values into the first two blocks in here. So the first block is when you click onto this one, then you can actually highlight the value of from cell B2 to cell B11, and then you click onto the button again, and then you can see the options with the dollar signs is there. Similarly, when you click onto the second block, you can actually click and then you can actually highlight this option there as well. Come back, click onto the same option again, and now you see both of these blocks been filled up with the two types of data sets. It's not really data sets, it's more like the columns. Then you have to double check that there is no check on labels, confidence level constant is 0. So when everything is okay, and then you see the new worksheet ply as well, then you have to click on residual plots and line fit plots. Remember, whatever is going to happen onto the new worksheet as you have clicked onto the new worksheet ply here. So once we have got all this data and we have clicked on these various options, we click on OK, and then suddenly you see a new window appears, a new sheet appears where you got different types of graphs there. There we go. Well, I'm not going to explain these graphs right now. That is probably one of the things which we need to do in the upcoming seminars. But now you can see a lot of statistical calculations have just appeared, and we need to have an understanding of what these values represent before we actually work on this regression analysis for the given data. So this is just one explanation of this when you have to use a regression analysis. Now, coming back onto your actual sheet one, what we need to do is we can actually highlight both the columns. Once you do that, then you go back into your insert option up there. If you see, you already have used this option for your question 1, 2, and 3 for your progress check. So similarly, when you click on insert and then you see the graphs an option here, you can click onto the insert scatter graph or bubble chart. So you click onto that one and various types of scatter graphs appear. So you might like to click onto the first one in here and this option, and then here you go, you can see that there is a very straight trend line going up there. So now we are going to make few changes into the graph in here. This is called the scatter graph. So the first of all, it has picked up the title of the graph by itself. So you can click onto this one, and then you can give a name to. For instance, you can give it a name as the prediction. So you can have called salary prediction. So you can have your own name, whatever you feel like. So salary prediction is the name of this graph. Then you actually click onto this graph, and then you see the plus sign there. When you click onto the plus sign, various options appears. For instance, axis title. So you can see that the axis title has appeared now. Then you have data labels. Well, we don't need to have the data labels right now, so we just uncheck it. Then you probably have error bars. We don't need it. Grid lines, legend, and we can have the legend. That's fine. And well, we don't need it. This is absolutely fine. Trend line. So you click onto the trend line, so you can see the dotted line has appeared. So this is more about explaining that there is a consistent rise in the salary prediction if you have number of experiences in there. Okay, so the next we are going to do is we are going to click onto the axis title. So remember the axis title, we have got years of experience, years of experience, right? And then on the axis title, we can have this as salary. So this is representing that we have a correlation between salary and years of experience, and it's a consistent rise. But coming back onto my previous sheet with the explanation, if you remember, I mentioned here about an equation. So I understand that we have. I know you probably have this question in your mind that we have spoken about the equation, we have spoken about the regression analysis. So I have explained to you some part of that the regression analysis is actually finding the relationship between the two entities to find out whether one thing is going to have an impact on another one or not. So pictorially, we can actually inform that. But what about the prediction? What about the equation? So you come back into the sheet one, you click onto the graph again, and then you click onto this plus sign, and then when you click onto your trend line, you can see a small arrow appears here. You click onto that arrow, and then obviously there are various options there. So you click onto more options. I click onto this one now, and you see a lot of things have appeared there. And if you scroll it down, you can actually see there is called display equation on chart. So you click onto that one, and you can see that an equation has appeared, which is y equals 5000 x plus 25,000, and then display r squared value on the chart as well, which has appeared. And then you can see that this option has appeared in here. So guys, this is the equation which I wanted to explain you, that the system, the Excel sheet, automatically predicts and works on the data given, and then create different types of equations for you guys. But remember, all equations are unique because they are based on the different types of data sets available in here. So until then, this is the equation which we will be inserting the values, and we will predicting the data. Coming back, a quick wrap up. That regression analysis is to find the relationship between the two entities, two things. For instance, if you want to find out that you wanted to find out that if a student has spent more time on studies, so whether it has an impact on its score or not. Similarly, when we come back into the data, you see that we have got two types of columns in here in which we have years of experience and salary. So simply what we have done is we wanted to make sure that we have got all the add-ins. So when you click onto the data, you wanted to make sure that this data analysis option is there or not. If this option is not there, you know the way how you can actually collect this information into that one here. So once you have used the data analysis options, you can create these graphs and then alongside with this data. And then similarly, you come back into your actual data, which is sheet one. You highlight this data set. You can simply go into your insert, and then you have to use the scatter graph. And then once you got the graph on the screen, you can actually play by with this plus sign in here. And I'm very confident that you are already aware of, if you double click onto the graph, you can see various options appear to the graph. For instance, you have this graph. which is a basic one, and then you got this graph, and similarly, you can actually have the graph as per you like. So I hope you understand the regression analysis and the equation and how and what's the purpose of that one. So I would say thank you very much for listening to all this explanation. And again, if you have any questions, please bring that to me during the seminar sessions, and I'm more than happy to answer. Once again, thank you very much, and see you in the seminar.